trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benches. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Don't forget I got memories, dead stain the whole room if I let him bleed. Shit was dark, I let this little light of
Yes, sir. It's a special stream today. You know, a special stream. We got the 10 a.m. thing going for a special guest, man. Let me go ahead and transition to the. Here we go. Hoss, again, thank you for the follow. And you have 2 accounts. Jesus Christ, I didn't even notice that. You have 2 accounts. But anyway, thank you for the follow, man. I hope all is well with you. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. Let's get some administrative things out the way before we introduce our guests. Twitch, if you are watching right now and you are not following, make sure that you are following. This is a followers only chat. So obviously you can be a part of each and every show. We want that. We appreciate that. Just make sure you're following, man, and tune in. If this is the stuff that you like, you know, we appreciate it. YouTube. You are watching now and you like the content, you like the videos, you keep coming back and you just found yourself that you weren't subscribed, do us a favor and like and subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, it really appreciates it. It takes 2 seconds to do. Podcast, same thing. If you are listening through Apple, Google, whatever your method is, if you like the content, you appreciate what we got going for you, it's good entertainment, whatever, good discussions, subscribe, rate, review. Takes 2 seconds to do. We truly appreciate it. And this is going to be a different experience for everybody, especially on the podcast side. So if you are listening, this is probably best served through Twitch or through the YouTube, so we can kind of give you a visualization of everything that we will be saying. So joining us today on this episode of Trap or Die podcast, we have the good man Mark Bullock. I've had the pleasure to associate with Bullock through the Hog Style. We've had plenty of conversations over there and breakdowns of the team with the good men Steve and Alex, including Mark's favorite topic that I've come to learn: season predictions. I know that that's his favorite topic, you know, so we love to talk about it each and every chance we get an opportunity to, and just showcase how wrong we typically are with this team. But for real, yep. Bullock, he's been breaking down film for a very long time, and the fact that, to be quite honest, the fact that he built up his resume from SB Nation to Washington Post to Athletic, just understanding where he's at, because Mark Bullock is overseas from Europe, and just understanding that he's not from the U.S. shows how hard he's worked to this point, just understanding the game, and then also understanding exactly what he's saying. Phantom, I appreciate the follow, appreciate you checking in. So with that being said, Mark, my man, appreciate you hopping on the Trap or Die podcast. How you doing today, boss?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm good. You know, like I told you, life is good. You know, I just got off from vacation and then the holiday over here. You know, I got 2 days off. Some people don't, but I had 2 days off, so I am fine, completely refreshed. And to be honest with you, Mark, I may take a couple more days off. I may call in tomorrow. You're like, you know what? I'm gone for the rest of the week. I'll catch y'all later. So yeah, life is good, man. Life is good. What time is it over here?
Well, I'm currently in Sweden, so we're 6 hours ahead of East Coast. So it's just gone 4 p.m. Okay. Normally I'm in the UK, but I'm in Sweden with visiting my girlfriend at the moment. So yeah, 6 hours ahead.
Absolutely. So as everybody know, Mark, I kind of gave his quick resume, but those who aren't familiar with you, just understand like how you got into what's going on, house man. Appreciate you checking in. For those who aren't familiar with you, that may be listening or tuning in for the first time and not understanding who Mark is, just let the people know how you got into football, but also what made you want to break down the game itself.
Yeah, so I've always been big into sports, and I did spend some time out in the States when I was younger. I spent 5 years out there, so I grew up with some American sports, and then came back to the UK and kind of fell more back into the UK sports. But I've always kind of taken a more analytical approach in terms of wanting to understand why things happen, rather than being one of those fans that just wants to shout and rage at the team saying, what the hell are you doing, and that kind of thing. I kind of want to like look at it and go, well, was that player in a position for a reason, and did they do that thing for a reason? Why did something go wrong, or why did something go well? And so of all the sports that I've ever really watched, the NFL kind of suits that because the main sport over here in the UK is obviously football or soccer, and it's obviously open play. There's no real breaks in play. It's free flowing, and so things can just happen for just because someone was out of position or something like that. Whereas in the NFL, each play is drawn up and designed specifically to be run against a certain look and in a certain way, and that kind of treats itself to the kind of how I approach the game. Kind of the crossover is there, so I've always liked being able to be like, okay, well, we'll break it down play by play and go, okay, so why did this player do this thing on this play, and try to build it from there. And so yeah, as you mentioned, I started on Hogs Haven at SB Nation, and after a few years there, got lucky that the Washington Post were looking for someone, and they picked me up. And after a few years there, the Athletic expanded to DC, and they picked me up. So yeah, I've had quite a decent journey through some. Yeah, I've not had a bad journey through some good sites. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I'm at.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so we do have some new viewers in here. I appreciate y'all checking in. We're about to get started with the film breakdown of Taylor Heinicke, the good, the bad, the ugly, misconceptions, whatever that may exist during this exact game against the New Orleans Saints. But before we continue, you can find Mark's current work on his Substack, markbullock.substack.com. I don't know exactly what the text looks like on the stream side, but his name is in the Zoom thing, so you can find his spelling right there, but it's markbullock.substack.com. All right, so we're here for the Taylor Heinicke's film breakdown, and we just have a couple quick things to go over in terms of the team and the defense, and we'll be quick and we'll get straight into the film, y'all. But I will be remiss if I do not ask Mark why he's here. What the hell is going on with this defense? We have to ask the question, everybody. We really do. So, Mark, I'm just saying the defense sucks right now. We don't have to wonder. We don't have to like figure out any excuses being made for the defense or anything. We just know it's not good. But I'm gonna ask you point blank, your point blank problem, bottom line, whatever it is. What is with this unit? What do you narrow it down to? It can be a couple of things, but what do you just narrow it down to?
I think the overwhelming thing is that they're not playing as a group. It's like they're putting 11 individuals out there that are all relatively talented. And like we know about the defensive line, the 4 first-round picks, and obviously the first-round pick on Jamin Davis this year at linebacker, and Cole Holcomb's talented, and they've got some big money spent in the secondary with Landon Collins and William Jackson, and Kendall Fuller's on a big contract, and so they've got a lot of talent, but they're all kind of playing as 11 talented individuals rather than one cohesive unit. And so that leads to a lot of miscommunication issues. That leads to them not being on the same page. And that has led to a lot of the coverage busts that we've seen for the deep shots down the field and the touchdowns and stuff. I think that kind of summarizes where they're at. Is just there's no real cohesion, and it feels like while they've acquired some really talented players, they haven't put them together in positions that necessarily. And it's tough because the secondary, like you have guys like William Jackson who are really good in press coverage, but Kendall Fuller's much better playing off with vision on the quarterback, sitting in zones and breaking on underneath things. So they have a couple a little bit of mix and match parts that don't necessarily fit together. So that plays into it a little bit as well. But I think overall it's a case of that it's kind of 11 still talented individuals as much as they've played poorly this year. It's 11 talented individuals rather than one talented unit.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, too, one more thing as well. So if we have enough time, we can have a couple of call-ins towards the end of the stream where we can all, converse and ask questions to Mark if you have any questions. We will have that today if we have time. So I'm not going to guarantee it, but if we have time. In the meantime, for those who are still here and you all want to ask questions as we're going through the film, Gonzo Freak, I appreciate the follow. Appreciate you checking in. If you all have questions throughout the film breakdown, ask them in the chat. That's obviously the purpose. Remember, this is a followers only chat for those who are listening or watching right now. Make sure you are following so you can talk to both Mark and myself. All right, so a couple things from Ron Rivera, man. The one that kind of bothered me the most, and I guess I'll just do this one, and we can just transition to the film. Okay. Because this one bothered me the most, man. During coach's speak yesterday, he said, when he spoke on the role of a head coach when his particular unit is struggling, he said the following, and I'm not going to read this whole quote because it's going to be impossible. It's going to be like a 3-minute moment of me just talking. But, well, you guys really want to go there, don't you? The truth of the matter, guys, is I oversee it. I look at it. I talk to the coaches. I've talked to the players. We talk about what we're doing. We go through all that. Whether you're doing well or not doing well, it's just a matter of getting involved when certain things happen in the appropriate moment. When I feel that it needs to be done, I'll do it. It's that simple, okay? We're trying to create and build. And if you're constantly missing and changing and moving and doing things, you never really find out. If we had done anything drastically crazy last year, we did it after I felt it was time to do it, and that there was that's what we're doing here, or that's what we're going to do here. So he went further and further, but I just wanted to stop at that last part because Mark, he said if he felt like things needed to be changed, then he'll make the appropriate changes or whatever. Essentially, my thing with this, and I want to get your take on that quote that went much longer than what he said. I think 5 games, including the offseason, including the preseason, including training camp, I think 5 games is enough to where if you figure something isn't working in this moment, you had 29% of your games played already, Mark. I feel like you have that opportunity or enough information to know that you can start tweaking things here and there. You don't have to make drastic changes, but I feel like there's enough to start tweaking things here and there. It just happened to be by chance that John Boston got hurt. That was by chance. So you had to find somebody else to play him. But Jamin Davis only got 13 snaps in the next game or the following game of John Boston getting hurt and etc. I think St. Juice had a low amount of snaps as well, if I remember. Yep. But I want to get your take on that quote so far in terms of the head coach's role when a particular unit is struggling, but also should changes have been made in your opinion? You don't have to specify if you want to, cool, but should changes have been made?
I mean, they do need to change something, obviously, because they can't keep continuing to give up these plays. And the quote that bothered me yesterday was him talking about how it was only 4 or 5 bad plays a game, but it was like those 4 or 5 bad plays, if they're all turning into touchdowns or they're all leading to touchdowns, then that's 4 or 5 touchdowns your defense has given up a game, and it's like that can't happen. So
Mark, the last drive 20, they scored 27-22 now, and all you're saying it's only been 4 or 5 plays. Mark, they went down on 7 plays, 75 yards, faced 1 third down. The Saints offense did, and you're saying it's just 4 or 5 plays. Take things into context. Who are you trying to fool here? I took issue with that, man, because I don't know who he was trying to convince. It may have been himself in a defensive moment, and I'm gonna let you finish. It's just something that just bothered me when you understand the context of how the game went. There's no way you say it's 4 or 5 plays when that last drive in itself was egregious. They stopped nothing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, it's more than that, but I think what he's talking about is the big coverage busts that lead to the long touchdowns, and they may only be 3 or 4, or maybe even 2 or 3 plays a game, but that is still unacceptable. And I think Ron Rivera deep down will know that, especially as a defensive-minded head coach. Like, that can't happen. I think those kind of quotes are more just him trying to ease pressure on his guys on defense, and ease pressure certainly on Jack Del Rio, because that's been building up over the last few weeks, and I guess he's kind of backing them to come good in the next few weeks, and trusting that they will. And you know, if he's trusting his guys, if he believes in their methods and the work they're putting in and the reasoning behind the calls that are being made and the game plans that are being put together, if he believes in that, then sure, stick to it and say, hey, these things just aren't playing off for us right now. We're not executing in the right spot, and they're 4 or 5 plays. But like, it certainly doesn't come across well to fans, and I think he probably could have found a better way to word that. Certainly,
you broke it down very, very pleasantly. No, you were very nice to Ron, but I do agree. There's definitely better ways you can say things. What's going on, y'all? This is Jamal, man, and listen, this is just a reminder. If you do appreciate the content, if you do enjoy the discussions, if you enjoy the videos, all that good stuff, man, hit that subscription button. We truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate it, man. We're just trying to grow out here, and support goes a long way. It's as simple as hitting that subscribe and that like button. Comment if you wish, man. Truly appreciate it. I ain't gonna hold you. Go ahead and get back to the show. See you later. We're here. House mentioned why don't the teams we play ever have just 4 or 5 bad plays against us?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh man. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this film thing. We know what we're here for. Taylor Heinicke. First and foremost, you go ahead and start your screen share, Mark. But
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, just remember, if you're listening on the podcast version, this does best serve you and all of us through the eyes of YouTube or Twitch. So everybody that's here live, remember, once again, if you have questions, shoot them in the chat like House is, or if you have comments, shoot them in the chat like House is. But also, if you have any comments or questions for Mark as well, just anytime send them in there, and we can go ahead and get them things related to Mark. All right, so let's go ahead and talk some football, man, and watch this Taylor Heinicke breakdown that we have upcoming. What was your overall consensus of how he played, like watching it live?
Watching it live, I wasn't really convinced. I thought he left a lot on the field, and you know, when I watched it back yesterday, I kind of had the same thought that he left a lot on the field and didn't make things easy for his guys, and he took a lot of risks, and they obviously didn't pay off. So yeah, I didn't think it was a particularly good performance, both after the game on first watch and after watching the film.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Where you want to start? You want to start with the first draft?
Yeah. Have you got this? Can you see this okay? That's coming up through fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
and,
so
for those who are listening or watching, if it's something that you want to enlarge, then we can go ahead and talk to Mark about that. But yep, everything's fine.
So yeah, so we got first play. We'll focus on Heinicke, obviously. This is just the whole offense, but we'll skip through some of the running plays. But first play was obviously 1st and 10, just after the interception. They're at the +31 going in, so they have really good field position. First thing they tried to do was call up a bit of a shot off of play action. You get the tight end going across in motion. You don't see man following across. You see a safety rotation, which tends to indicate more zone coverage. And after the snap, just after the snap, you see the corners bail out. You look like it's going to be a cover 3 look. What Washington has is the kind of typical play action look that most teams are running nowadays. You've got the deep over from Terry McLaurin from the left, and you got the deep post. I think that's DeAndre Carter at the top there running the deep post. And his job is just basically grab this corner, grab the safety, take the top off it, and clear out this huge space for McLaurin. Just start. I was going to
ask. So what are what's his name? Ross Jackson mentioned something about cover 3 match. Like he said, for those who aren't familiar, cover 3 match is essentially what you're seeing right now, but if the receivers go vertical, it turns from a cover 3 zone to a man coverage. But my question to you, Mark, because we're looking at it now, so I can't even remember like how it played out with the corner that's taking DeAndre Carter and Marcus Lattimore. But it seems as if he's actually trailing McLaurin. What are the chances sometimes that corner can crash down if he sees that there's a safety over the top, but also McLaurin coming towards his zone? What are the chances of that, like, typically?
Yeah, so I think that's the big touchdown that Bobby McCain led up last week was kind of this similar thing where the Falcons had Kyle Pitts sit down here, but I think McCain thought he was going to carry on running, and so there's typically two ways that defenses try to play this, and either they'll have this safety take over the deep post, and then this corner will peel off to take this route, and this one will stay with it inside. Okay. Or they'll have the safety jump up and buzz up and take this, and then this corner will fall off and replace the safety deep so that they can bracket the post route. Okay. And so with the Pitts touchdown, not the Pitts touchdown, the Cordell Patterson touchdown, Bobby McCain thought that Pitts was going to carry on across, and Pitts sat down, but McCain drove down on the route, and the corner stayed there. Yeah, and William Jackson peeled off to take the route, but McCain had already driven down, so Patterson ran over the top and was wide open. But on this case, the Saints have the safety stay back, and this corner doesn't peel off. He stays with DeAndre Carter. So Lattimore has a pretty tough job of trying to stay here, but what they do have is this linebacker does I think some people call it a robot technique, where he turns and runs and looks for the first crossing route, and you can see him here looking at DeAndre Carter, looking to see if he's coming over this way, and you can see that he's got more depth. So if we run it a little bit further, he then comes looking for the crosser from this side, because he knows that's how teams like to attack cover three. And then he spots McLaurin, so he tries to fall under it. But because of how late he was, he looked that side rather than this side. There becomes a pretty significant gap for McLaurin. So we carry it on, and Heinicke gets hit. So I think he was probably looking for McLaurin. If we look at the end zone angle, we actually, let's just run it back real quick. Okay. We can see when it goes to throw, I'm pretty sure right here he looks like he's going to hit that. I think as he's winding up, he probably wants to hit that. If he's thinking check down, then that's a bad decision, because this guy is running straight into that defender, the flat defender. So
and given his tendencies, he loves that boy Terry. So odds are he was definitely gunning for that one.
Yeah, so I would think he was probably trying to hit that, and this guy just gets through and hits his arm, and then that causes the ball to fall out here. And we can possibly get a bit of better look at it from the end zone angle.
83. Oh yeah, that's 80. Okay, that's Ricky.
Yeah, I think that's Ricky Seals-Jones. So when he comes back in here, you get the zone thing. So you think you know where he's going with the ball. His first read, he's looking at Carter, checking any safety rotation. And then he's kind of got his eyes over here. I think he's looking for if a linebacker is trying to robot and find McLaurin. To me, I think he's still probably looking at McLaurin over here rather than Humphries as the check down. And then you can see his arm just gets hit as he's throwing the ball. And that causes it to fall out. So
as we continue, I was going to say, just a theme throughout the entire game too, Mark, because obviously we'll go to the next play, but the theme is just in that first example by itself. The Saints stepped up big time when their backs were against the wall on multiple occasions. That defense, whether it was tackles for losses or plays made against the quarterback, or just simply Marshawn Lattimore stepping up in coverage. Like Terry was targeted, 11, 12 times, and
I think it was 11. Yeah,
and Marcus, I think, Marshawn had 5 or 6 pass deflections on Terry. So not saying, for those who are listening, I'm not saying Terry got strapped or anything or stuff like that, but he had really good moments where he stepped up big against Terry. So I'm just saying the defense definitely stepped up and helped the Saints offense out. But as we'll see, I think Mark, there was obviously some missed opportunities from the offense as well.
Yeah, and I think some of those stops from Lattimore were more on Heinicke than anything else. McLaurin had a pretty good game. I've got a load of clips that I probably will write up this week on an article on McLaurin. Okay. So the second down, they then just run the ball to Gibson. I think we can kind of skip through this because this was a little 4-yard gain. Although, let's just watch the end zone angle on Gibson making something out of nothing. To give them a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, I think.
Right. As we watch that though, how's your opinion on Antonio in his second year so far?
Gibson, I think we're seeing some nice development from him. Obviously, you love the skill set that he brings, and how he is so powerful, and he has great contact balance, and never goes down from the first guy. He's he and his elusiveness, the jump cuts that he has. I think there's one later in this game that he has an absolutely ludicrous jump cut, and the amount of yards he's able to get off of those kind of things is phenomenal.
I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah, so I think he's still got some development with how he reads certain runs rather than freelancing and try to bounce things, but that'll come as he learns the position more.
Where we at, like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 here?
So I think it was 3rd and 6. Okay. First third down of the game. Let's have a look what we got here. Yeah, 3rd and 6. So Saints are showing a heavy blitz. They got a double A look, although it's one defensive lineman rather than 2 linebackers. But they still got 2 deep safety. So that kind of indicates that they're probably bailing out of this, because they probably wouldn't be doing a cover 0 out of this. They might do a cover 1 robber with a safety coming down, but it's probably going to bail out of it. Especially this corner probably looks like he's looking more at the receiver than probably blitzing. So he does blitz. Okay, so this was the one where Heinicke bails out and overthrows DeAndre Carter by a mile. But let's go back and look at it. So the first thing I think to note with Heinicke is he scrambles from a pocket that isn't bad. It's a relatively clean pocket. And obviously when you see a big blitz, you kind of tend to think, okay, I don't have much time. My internal clock has to be quicker. But Washington does a pretty decent job picking this up. And if Heinicke, he's still got a couple of yards. If he's just patient, he's got 2 linebackers that both go to this under route from Humphreys. So he should know that he'll probably have a good bit of space over the middle for DeAndre Carter. And we'll see the end zone view to see where he's looking. But as he starts to scramble...
it's open right now.
It's there. So if he doesn't scramble, if he sits there and just takes that throw, it's a huge completion over the middle. And maybe he's worried about this corner peeling off of, I think that's McLaurin, but I think that's probably pretty unlikely given it's McLaurin and he receives a lot of extra attention. But he rolls out to his right. He still has tons of time to make that throw. But obviously sails it horribly and nearly gets intercepted.
Yes. Almost intercepted.
We'll
That's
look
the worst
at
part of it all.
Yeah, we'll look at the end zone angle. He does spot the slot corner blitz, so that's a good spot of it, and that gets picked up. They keep the tight end in to pick that up, and they do a pretty decent job up front. There's a little bit of push here, but nothing major that he couldn't have hit. Carter's about here right now. There's no reason he couldn't have hit that. So he scrambles out. He has the throw. If he doesn't think he can make that, he obviously has Humphreys here for a first down, but obviously Carter's the throw, and he just sails it.
What's the percent chance that he really couldn't see behind that line? What's the percent chance in your opinion?
Well, I mean, there's a pretty big throwing lane right there. Like there's no reason he couldn't have seen through that. So to me, he should have stayed in the pocket and just hit Carter over the middle, but once he started scrambling, he still had the option to hit him. He just missed him. So
3rd and 6 converts or a failure turns into 3 points for Washington. Unfortunate, but that's where we are. 3-0. And then obviously as we see on the next drive for their offenses, 7-3 after that. Pitiful Landon Collins. Yeah, we know.
Less said about that, the better. So yeah, as you said, they get the ball, start of the drive. They come out passing. We get Adam Humphreys going in motion. We get the corner following him, so that suggests man coverage. What's going to happen is Adam Humphreys is going to come on a shallow cross. I think they have a couple of different shallow crosses. It might be a mesh concept. It might not quite be a mesh concept. But let's see. Yeah, they have a couple of guys coming across the field. They've got McLaurin. I want to come back to that McLaurin route because that was fantastic. But you can see we've got guys going across this way to vacate this space for Humphreys on the shallow cross. Because it's man coverage, this guy's got a real tough job trying to keep up. Obviously, Adam Humphreys isn't the fastest guy. If that was, say, Curtis Samuel or De'Ami Brown. This is going to be a much bigger play, but he's wide open. I think Heinicke waits for this guy to clear, for Humphries to clear this guy, just so that this corner can't peel off and make the play. But so that's why it might seem like he was open forever and he took forever to make the throw. But
can't even find the
still,
ball right now. Can't even see.
Still,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, he still finds Humphries and he gets the shallow cross. And we'll see it from the end zone angle here. I will wind back for the McLaurin route again in a minute just to highlight that because it's a real good route. But yeah, the throw is a little bit high and behind, which is what he was kind of all game and has been pretty much all season. But Humphries is able to make the most out of it, and I think he dodges the tackle there and gets upfield, makes 20 yards. Let's just quickly go back to this Terry McLaurin route. Because he has this corner here and this safety over the top, and he's trying to run a deep post. And typically with the corner takes outside leverage, McLaurin gets a great jump off the snap. The safety also takes outside leverage, which isn't the best position for him to take.
I was going to ask that. Like, isn't that something where a corner and safety should be on the same page, knowing that he's going to have outside as the corner?
You want one guy to have inside, one guy to have outside, ideally. Obviously, the safety's playing a deep half, but there's nobody else out here, so he only needs to stay on top of this one, and he should know that his corner is playing outside, so he should be kind of shading inside. But McLaurin sets him up nicely. You can see how he's started to angle his route back outside, making it look like it's going to break outside on a corner route or an out route, and then he steps on the safety's toes and then breaks inside. Let's just wind it back once time and just look at the feet of the safety. And I won't interrupt it this time. Just watch the feet of the safety as he gets all modded up from McLaurin's route.
Okay.
And he gets completely turned around, and McLaurin had him probably, but that was a much longer development play. And that
if that boy Heinicke has some orange drift, he can slice through both them safeties. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'm just seeing him in 5 games. I kind of get nervous that he may not be able to make that throw.
I don't think he probably would be able to make that throw, but I think that throw in particular, that's not really what this play is designed for. This play was designed for that shallow cross. So that kind of throw, if you have a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes with a ridiculous arm and they're going off script and going, I'm just chucking it deep to Terry, screw it. Like that's that kind of play that can happen. Right. So that sets up 1st and 10. This was we got Curtis Samuel coming on the end around after a jet sweep and all of this nonsense here. Then we got picks up 8 yards. Then we got an Antonio Gibson run, I think, for 3 yards.
Okay.
Yep. So that's
an unfortunate situation for Curtis Samuel to this point in the season, man. He's been dealing with injuries all off season and plays 25 snaps in his first game, which was the snap count, and gets hurt after 3 or 4 snaps or gets a twinge or tweak in the Saints game, man. I don't know how long he's going to be out, if any, but it's kind of unfortunate for him.
Yeah, you'd love to see him play a little bit more because there's a lot he can add to the offense. Right, so Gibson got a couple yards, picked up another first down, moved the change. So let's see where we're at on this one. We got another motion. This guy kind of gives a hint of it. Oh, they're running a little play action fake. Right, so we've got I think it was a sail from this side and a pivot or a race route from this one. So we've got Humphries spotting up here. I think DeAndre Carter runs a little basic cross behind him. And then I think Ricky Seals-Jones comes through here after checking protection or just part of the play action fake and runs a little sail route. I think McLaurin runs off deep, and then Gibson comes to the flat. Yeah, that's exactly what we got. So we got the little pivot race here. That's McVay terminology. Sorry, I don't know how they call it on this one, but they cover that pretty well. They play zone. So as you would play zone, you would naturally work to the sail side because a sail concept, you have 3 receivers attacking 3 different levels of the field, and the Saints are playing a cover 3 zone, so they've got a deep defender and a flat defender. So typically the sail route, you're looking to hit this guy in this kind of area, and potentially Heinicke could have waited for, I think that's Seals Jones to come through here.
Looks like
The
the
flat
ball is
defender
out right now. If I can't see it, but is the ball
yeah,
out?
the ball's already out at this
Okay.
point. So he could, he probably could have waited for that. But the flat defender had some depth, and he just wanted to get the ball out quickly. He's probably feeling a bit of pressure here as well, and he knew Gibson can pick up some yards after the catch. So that's fine. Gibson makes the most of it, turns up the field. Maybe we'll see from the end zone angle if the pressure was really in his face, or whether he could possibly waited for Ricky Seals-Jones on the sail route. Yeah, maybe. But I don't kill him too much for that. They still picked up.
I don't have an issue with this one. Especially
Sorry?
giving it to, no, I was saying I don't have an issue with this one either, especially giving it to Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
Get your guy out there, see if he can make a play.
Yeah, then we got 2nd and 1. I think that gets stuffed. And then we've got a 3rd and 1 afterwards. And I think Patterson.
From my understanding, this is 7-3 with Washington driving. I think this is the drive following Jameis Winston's fumble, isn't it?
No, this is their second drive. So this is after the touchdown from the Saints. This is after the Collins not being able to get back. So they pick up the first down there. And then I think they go on a run after this. Gibson gets another carry for 7 or 8 yards to set up second and 2. Okay. Here we are, 2nd and 2. Right, let me just get a quick look and remember what happens here. You get the motion with Ricky Seals-Jones, although that is a corner on him. So I think 22 is a corner. It might be a safety. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is the deep over to McLaurin. So this is similar to what we saw on that first play where McLaurin runs a deep over. They don't have the deep post from DeAndre Carter this time. I need to look and see what happens to him. I think he gets hit. It might be that they're running.
I believe, right?
Yeah. Well, you got the guy following Ricky Seals-Jones, suggests it's man. You got 2 deep safety. The Saints, I don't think they tend to play too many 2 deep safety coverages that are zone. You got Lattimore is looking for a bit of help, but McLaurin beats him, and they've got nobody out here, so there's a pretty wide open throwing lane for Heinicke. It's one of those where you'd like to see him drive that in there a little bit more, and we'll look at the release from Terry McLaurin one more time because, sorry, I just love watching Terry McLaurin run routes.
Look, I get it, man. We love that boy.
Against Lattimore, yeah, he's gone. That ball just hangs up a little bit, and those are the kind of throws, the deep outs from the far hash.
He couldn't even get a hand on Terry. That's kind of I think either you're gonna respect the speed or you're gonna try and get up a little bit closer than that. Like he just let him blow right past him.
So that's the kind of throw where the arm strength kind of shows up, and it's not that he can't make the throw, and obviously in that kind of a window, that's a huge window, but every throw down the field is a little bit lofty. There's very few where he really puts velocity on it and drives it, and that allows that safety to get in there and make up grounds, and he could have potentially landed a lot bigger hit than what he did on McLaurin there. But obviously good to have the completion and get themselves into the red zone. I think 18 yards they picked up there.
Right. First and 10 inside the 10 actually on the 10 for Washington, down 7-3.
Yeah, so it's 1st and goal. We've got a little red zone play. Everyone's running outs and Heinicke scrambles. So we'll have another little quick look at that. So we got the motion from the tight end. Nobody really responds, so it suggests zone coverage. I think we've got McLaurin here running a bit of a corner out. We've got DeAndre Carter running a quick out. Humphreys runs out, and they've got someone from here working out here as well. So it's pretty much all...
a nice little pancake on this rep.
Oh yeah, he did. He got beat initially, but he recovered nicely. So I don't think Heinicke really had anything to work with. As we see, he possibly, if he was working Humphrey's side, as he breaks, he could hit that and maybe pick up 5 or 6 yards. I don't think that corner gets beaten by Humphreys, but he was always working this side. Now he could potentially hit DeAndre Carter down here. Let me get the mouse off the screen so we can have a better look at it.
And I have a question after you go through this part. I have a question on
sure.
Taylor.
So yeah, the corner kind of isn't in a terrible position, and Carter kind of runs his route at an angle rather than breaks off quite sharply. So I understand why he didn't take that throw. And then obviously we see, as you say, the nice recovery from Cosme to pancake his guy and then get him down. And Heinicke scrambles, not a bad scramble, pick up 5 yards, and every yard when you're down there in the red zone, every yard counts. So
absolutely. So my thing is, because you pointed out Adam Humphries, and I don't want to make this like a narrative thing. I actually believe that Taylor Heinicke, on a good amount of occasions, he does work through his reads. But how often we do see him stare down also at the same time, like quite often, like one person is usually like the best player, Terry McLaurin. We see that a lot. I don't really take too big of an issue with you staring down Terry McLaurin. But how often do you see on tape how that can kind of get him in trouble, whether it's in a turnover type of throw that could have been a turnover or was a turnover, or other options? I think we'll actually be seeing that on this drive, if my memory serves me correctly, but also like him missing other opportunities for really good positive yards.
Yeah, I think some of the staring down Terry McLaurin thing is a little bit overblown. I think in general Heinicke's relatively good at working through his progressions and getting off reads.
Hey, don't hold
sometimes
that. Hey, if you think I'm wrong, hey, Mo, you are wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Tell me.
No, it's I think it's often a case of he's almost too aggressive. And some of those times where he's trying to take shots to McLaurin, like McLaurin will be open because McLaurin's almost always open, but the window will be very close. And so the kind of, as we talked about earlier, with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, they can really drive the ball down the field. Those guys can put the ball on McLaurin and fit the whole shot between the corner and the safety in cover two. And Heinicke doesn't have that arm, but plays like he does. And so he will take that shot, and that safety will have more of an opportunity to get over and make up ground and pick up, either land a big hit or intercept the pass. So that's how I see that.
Okay.
Right. So where were we here? This was second goal after the scramble. I think this is an incomplete pass. They have no motion. Yeah, so they got the spacing. Right, okay, I know what this play was. So we've got a little spacing concept.
Play, I think, that I was talking about.
This, quite possibly. This is, so we got Ricky Seals-Jones spotting up over here. We've got Adam Humphrey spotting up here. And then Gibson works out to the flat. It's a spacing concept. Every offense in the league runs it. On this side of the field, you've got, typically you would run a flat and a slant opposite the spacing concept, or something similar to that. But what they do here is they have Dax Milne. He runs in kind of like a slant, but he continues it on beyond into the back of the end zone, and that is probably where the ball should go, as we'll shortly see, hopefully. Yeah, so we got these guys spotting up, and everyone jumps on those.
Lord!
Safety jumps on those. Everyone jumps on those, and Milne wraps his route behind those guys. And I think
because that guy, whoever that safety is, he crashed on Ricky Seals. Like that's money.
Yeah, so I think he's looking. We'll see at the end zone angle. I think he's looking at Milne and wants to hit that, but he gets some pressure here from his right side.
Okay.
We can see those guys coming through. He does a pretty nice job stepping up to avoid it, and Milne is still open, and they've still got nobody back here. So he steps up.
Peanut butter jelly sandwich back there.
Yeah, so he steps it up and he starts to break out to the right side. Could he potentially set and throw this here? I think there's probably enough room where he could get there, but this corner makes up a little bit of ground, and Milne kind of slows up a little bit because obviously he's running out of ground. But Heinicke ends up not trying to do that, and he tries to hit Ricky Seals-Jones back here. Now, Seals-Jones has peeled off and has a bit of space, but throwing back across your body is never a good idea. And he probably doesn't see this guy here ready to undercut this. and he ends up throwing it over his head anyway. But we'll see from the end zone angle. Was there a potential chance for him to hit Milne? Possibly with a little bit of anticipation. He was working this spacing concept, but it was well covered. So he comes back inside to these guys. He sees that the safety jumps up. You can't really see where Milne is at this point, but that's where he starts to feel the pressure. And I think that was just as Milne was breaking free. So could he have possibly set himself up and thrown it again at another point? It's tough to really say. Like if we go back at the exact point that Milne breaks, that safety jumps up there. He's looking at it. So at this point, potentially he could be anticipating that Milne's going to come behind this safety, and that pressure hasn't arrived yet. Roulier is coming across to pick it up. So could he have set himself here to put a lofted throw out here? Maybe, but it's kind of a closed window. And then when he scrambles, there might have been another opportunity, but it's tough. And I don't think he made the right decision to try to throw back inside, but I don't know whether that was him really giving Ricky Seals-Jones an opportunity or whether he was kind of throwing it away. If you're going to throw it away, I would rather him throw it just straight out the back of the end zone rather than throwing back across his body where he can't see guys. But, that it turns out okay, but a little bit of a missed opportunity there.
Yeah. Also, this may be it then, because I think Adam Humphries was covered on that last rep, so I may have gotten it down wrong. But, we'll go through this. So this is 3rd and 5, 3rd and goal for Washington.
Yep. So we've got a little bit of a funky formation. I think this is Ricky Seals-Jones out here, outside of McLaurin in the slot, and then we've got I think that's Milne and Carter both to the right side. So just a reminder of what they do here. Yeah, so he tries to hit this slant here. Yeah, that is the play that you're talking about. So they have these guys kind of pivoting up, and they have this 2 slot guys kind of pivoting up, and they have Carter and Seals-Jones kind of running slants behind them, hoping that they'll kind of have the space behind them with the safety in the middle. It looks like the Saints play kind of cover 3. It seems like that's what they're showing, which is kind of an odd coverage to play in the end zone. But
I was literally about to ask you. I was like, who the hell plays cover 3 this close to the end zone?
Yeah, it is a bit of an odd one. I think this is one where this is probably a play where they have Logan Thomas in mind rather than Ricky Seals-Jones, because you think Logan Thomas and Terry McLaurin running this little combination here is why Heinicke would be looking this side. If you had been looking that side, I think this is the one you're talking about with Adam Humphries, where he probably does have him. Yeah, he certainly does have him, but he was always working this left side, and with it being mirrored concepts and the Saints in cover 3, it's kind of pick a side. And I think everyone would forgive Heinicke for picking Terry McLaurin's side over Adam Humphries' side. So yeah, it would be nice for him.
It's hard to accept, but it's like, I get it. Like I just said, I don't blame him for looking Terry's way. Like he is who he is, but those ones hurt, and that's kind of the missed opportunity that we talk about, especially throughout this the New Orleans Saints game itself.
Yeah, so he tries to hit this. I don't think he necessarily should have. At this point, he's still got a clean pocket. He's got a defender all over Ricky Seals-Jones. As you see there, Humphries is wide open. Work back to that left side and try to fit that in. Would that safety be able to close that gap? Possibly. But then you've got this receiver working behind. So, but he tries to fit this in here. And it's actually not the worst throw in the world because he gets it over the linebacker. And that's a kind of throw that Logan Thomas, we've seen in the red zone already this year. Logan Thomas has made some real good catches on high throws.
Absolutely.
But Seals-Jones can't come up with it.
This point, so now they kick a field goal. It's 7-6 for the Saints. And well, how much? This was a very long first quarter. I don't know if you noticed that watching this live. I felt like we was in the first quarter for 45 minutes. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it was their third drive that turned into the end of the first quarter into the second quarter, and they scored their second touchdown their first touchdown to take the lead just after they went into the second quarter. So yeah, we're probably going a bit slow breaking through all of these, but this first play is a run, I think. Yeah, Antonio Gibson, and he strings out, and manages to pick up yards, but there's a holding penalty. So we get to 1st and 20. Let's go back. Yeah, 1st and 20 after the holding penalty. We got a 3-by-1, but it's the tight end on the one side, 3 receivers to the left. Let's see what they go here. Yeah, so this is one of their 4 verticals variations. So you've got the 4 verticals concept from the 3-by-1 side. So you've got Carter. Let's go back to the start look. So you've got Carter running the seam crosser. You've got, I think it's Humphreys or possibly Dax Milne running up the seam on this side. You've got McLaurin going deep this way.
Why are they split so tight? Carter and Milne.
So I think Carter is split outside to give himself some more room to come across, whereas Milne is split inside a little bit further than he normally would be because he wants to widen and get up the seam this way. I could be wrong on that, but that I think is how they have it.
Okay. The only reason why I ask is because sometimes, Mark, like, now I'm not, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know I talk about flag football all the time, but I'm not no professional, but I know, like, when you talk about splits, a lot of things are predicated in those splits. So I just wanted to know, like, because if we know that on a flag football level, or pro level is much more complex, but also you can kind of tell, like, the possible combinations or routes that can be coming based on a receiver splits.
Yep. Yeah, you're for sure. The splits will give a big indication. And typically, if a guy's split inside, it's because he wants to go outside, and if a guy's split outside, it's because he wants to go inside. But yeah, that I think the split of this is Carter wants the room to get to kind of push his route vertical and break over the middle, whereas Milne or Humphrey, I think that is Milne. He's kind of in the middle, maybe slightly towards the hash, and that's to give himself the room to widen as he works the seam. But then, so the variation of 4 verticals, typically you'd have a 4th vertical route on the outside here, but they have Seals Jones run a shallow cross, and I think Gibson kind of works out to the flat. So let's see how this plays out.
Let's say
yeah, okay, so Milne carries on over the middle, so he doesn't quite keep that, and then McLaurin breaks off, which is quite a common thing to have on 4 verticals. So what happens? Heinicke gets sacked, I think, on this one. So let's look at what his options would have been. So if you've got the 4 verticals, you've got 2 guys going that way. You're probably looking, when you get a single high safety, you're probably looking at these 2 guys.
And those 2 guys, you're saying Milne and Carter.
Yeah, Milne and Carter, the 2 guys that would be in the seams. But they have this defender here drops off. Where did he come from exactly? I think yeah, so they have the corner on that side, which indicates the zone coverage anyway. But he peels off and picks up Carter's over route. And then the slot corner takes Milne and carries Milne. And then they have this safety steps up, and he is in position to drive on this shallow cross. So they kind of match up with this pretty well. They have a flat defender here for Gibson, and possibly the only real option for him here would have been McLaurin. Milne has a bit of separation from this slot corner, but the safety
yep,
is ready to drive on that.
He's in position to take both of them.
Yeah, he's pretty well positioned. I don't know whether that's a slightly different call, and whether maybe it wasn't quite the 4 verticals, because in 4 verticals you probably would have seen Milne keep this more straight rather than over the middle. But maybe that was a game plan thing. I couldn't tell you. But we'll have a look at the protection breakdown from this side and see exactly where Heinicke was looking.
It looked like who was the left tackle? I can't. Oh, he's on the ground with him.
Charles Delano.
Yeah.
Right. So this is one of their favorite play action things that they do. They pull the guard to pick up the guy on the edge, and then Leno gets beat off the left tackle. So it's a combination of those 2 things. So we have Eric Flowers pulling, and these guys all bringing. Cosme comes down and doubles this tackle. You got Roulier taking up this tackle, and Leno taking up the end. But with Flowers pulling, this end rushes outside and tries to get outside, forcing Heinicke to step up. But Leno gets beat inside, so Heinicke steps up and into this guy and get sacked. So not a huge amount he could have done there. Potentially, I think the only real route that was open for him was McLaurin. So I don't blame him too much on that, but obviously that leads to a sack, and they lose yards to set up 2nd and 24, and then they have the horrible 1 yard run to McKissick. I hate that.
Now, what is the well?
I think you're just trying to get yards back after a negative pass play. Possibly it might be a bit of an RPO with these guys.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, what was the receivers doing?
Yeah, you've got a bit of a slant here, and this linebacker kind of falls out, so it might be a bit of an RPO. And they were playing with a bit of a light box as well, so that might be what the idea is. And you can see with first down markers all the way back here. So because they're so far away, the Saints are playing very soft coverage. So I think the idea is that the box is very light. It should be a favorable run play, and they tag a little RPO on it, but the linebacker falls out on it. So they do have 4 guys here, 4 guys to block, and then they've got 2 guys to account for 1 because this linebacker falls out on the RPO. So like it should be a favorable look.
I was 20 driving on Cosme like that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they get beat up there, and it busts, but it happens. And then it sets up 3rd and long.
Yeah, we could just go to because we know what happens on this drive. We know that they end up punting, but they get saved by the roughing the punter that extends the drive.
Yeah, and then this was the so this was the out and up pass interference. We can go very quickly on this. Too. This Dax Milne in the slot here. We have Adam Humphries, I think, motions in. Milne runs a really nice double move. He works out to the flat and then up, and this guy has to basically grab his jersey and tackle him to stop him from beating. Break out, gets tackled. Probably, I mean, that was a little bit of an overthrow. Probably.
I was just about to say, where did the ball land
to get there? But thought his eyes are in the right place. He's making the right throw. He probably sees that Milne is getting pulled down and just kind of pulls the trigger to alert the refs to it. So that moves them up into the red zone. Then we have this was the Antonio Gibson play where he gets lost, like loses 7 yards or something like that, trying to bounce outside. Is that Cam Jordan? Yeah, so we'll skip through that.
It's crazy how many plays that these guys made, and just speaking from a unbiased standpoint, the Saints made a couple plays on this drive that thwarted Washington, but they also made 2 huge mistakes that just continued to extend the drive for Washington at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So this sets up 2nd and 17. I think this was Taylor Heinicke's scramble. Let me just see. Yes, it was. So we get a bit of motion here from I think that's John Bates from a 2 tight end set. What kind of concept are they running here? Looks like Bates gets a bit messed up here. They try a little post wheel from the 2 receivers. Let's run that back a little bit. Sorry if I'm jumping around a lot. I'm trying to remember exactly where we are. So we get McLaurin running a deep post here, and it's one of Scott Turner's favorite things to run. Is a little post up from the outside and a wheel behind it from DeAndre Carter. So that's probably where Heinicke was looking, number 1. And it's usually a good idea because this safety is probably eyeing McLaurin more than this, and you can get a little bit of a pick play there. But
is this a robber look? Is this? I'm trying to figure out who is that? 27, I think Malcolm Jenkins in the middle.
Let's have a look. I think that's Malcolm Jenkins up top there. Yeah, it looks like it's a bit of one, possibly. Well, this safety is a little bit wide, so I think probably what's happening is it's a 2 deep safety, but Jenkins is kind of following the eyes and knowing that there's nothing out here. Seals Jones breaks inside. Gibson breaks out there, but that's running back to the flat. So he's kind of cheating a little bit, knowing that he can. Possibly he's robbing. That's speculation on my part. But Heinicke, he never really had anything on anyway. so he takes off on a nice scramble. We'll see it here.
So
The
from
protection
second
holds
and
up.
20 to third and 2.
Yeah,
Two-ish.
it was. I think it was second 17 to
Second
third and
17.
4.
Okay.
So yeah,
Oh, because he slid. Goddamn, he slid way too
they
short.
gave up. Yeah, so and this is where it goes to the second quarter. Right. So
45 minutes in that first quarter. Man, I almost lost it. All right, here we go. Second quarter.
So this is they've got a little kind of mesh thing going on here. Ricky Seals-Jones kind of spots up over the thing here. We've got Adam Humphries coming across, and it's either Adam Humphries or Milne runs through the back of the end zone and potentially was on for a touchdown, but I don't know exactly how they read this one. They have quite a few different shallow crossers trying to get everything picked in front of its man coverage. But it turns out to be zone. The Saints kind of bail out into that cover 3-ish look again, but this corner is kind of cheating up. And so I think this is Humphries here. Could be Milne again, I'm not sure. But he runs through here and the safety doesn't carry him. But Heinicke wasn't necessarily to know that this corner wasn't bailing out and this safety wouldn't cover him. So he spots Seals-Jones coming against these guys and spotting up over the middle. So he takes that and hits that. And, as I said earlier, any gain in the red zone is each yard is valuable. And this was a 7-yard gain. So
we'll they're see. At first and I can't. Oh, what about the
it'd be
the end zone? Its own.
Yeah. So it'll be first and goal from the 5.
Okay.
And this is where Antonio Gibson runs in for a touchdown. So I don't know if you want to see that or skip to the next one.
Yeah, we go to the next one because that's the touchdown one, right?
Yeah. So this is the touchdown run. So we'll skip through that. And then this one we got a nice little sail concept. So next drive, Saints went and scored a touchdown. So it's 13 all. Get the ball at the 25, and we've got Carter and McLaurin here. Carter motions inside and kind of stacks. McLaurin runs either a deep corner or a deep post, something vertical. Carter runs the sail route. I think Gibson or possibly one of the tight ends works to the flat, but Heinicke works to Carter because he's, as you'll see, he is wide open. Yeah, Gibson works to the flat. The flat defender works down. This is exactly how the sail concepts work, meant to go. McLaurin takes the top off, grabbing the safety in the deep corner.
That's the 3 levels that you spoke of earlier.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that flat defender works to Gibson in the flat, and that leaves a huge space in between them for Carter. That throw is, again, a little bit floaty. You can see how Carter at the end is kind of just waiting for it. Rather than it being driven in there and him being able to catch it and turn up the field and turn that from 17 yards he picked up in the end to it could have been 20 or 30 if Heinicke could have driven that throw and put a little bit more on it rather than kind of floating it. But 17 yards is always good, so you don't want to criticize him too much. So first and 10, what do we have here? This one was, I think, a pass.
First and 10, ball at the 42 for Washington, for those who are listening.
Yeah, so this was another kind of version of sail, where it's a Scott Turner is a guy that likes to run a lot of the same kind of concepts. So the reads are the same for the quarterback, but he dresses them up and gets them very, very different. And he's very good at disguising kind of the same concepts. So this one turns out to be, I think, very similar to sail, where he has Carter running a jet sweep, and I think he turns up and goes vertical, and then McLaurin runs the kind of deep out or sail route, and possibly a crosser from, I think Adam Humphries is the 3rd route underneath here. But I think you'll see it works out to be, when you get to it at the end, yeah, you can see you've got the vertical route here, the out here, and the shallow from Humphries here kind of attacks the 3 levels again. But we've got the I think that's Malcolm Jenkins, the safety on that side. He attaches to DeAndre Carter, and you've got Terry McLaurin. Let's just wind it back and appreciate Terry McLaurin's route running once more against Lattimore. As I said, he beats Lattimore quite a lot in this game, and the throws didn't always match up with that. But I mean, he set him up with a lovely inside move. You'll see it from the end zone angle here. really
Baltimore
jabs
balance
inside,
too.
releases. Yeah, and then at the top of the route, he stems it nicely. Breaks it nicely, and Lattimore was nowhere near him. Then we've got Gibson run. I think a couple of Gibson runs. Yeah, this one was a Gibson run, which is a holding, so we'll skip that. 1st and 20, another Gibson run, so that goes for 3 yards. And then, so we got 2nd and 17. Yeah, we got another pass here. And this is just a short little hook route. So
That's a tough catch.
That is a tough catch. And Heinicke kind of sets his receivers up for that a little bit, with especially when you're throwing high on quick underneath routes like that. Like, this is quite a high ball and not necessarily on the most accurate, so it kind of exposes the receiver's ribs as they raise their hands up to catch the ball, and can. So he's not necessarily the most receiver friendly quarterback in that aspect. So yes, we got 3rd and 10, and this one was another pass. This was the one that was dodgy. I think it's Seals Jones runs that kind of deep out or sail route again, and catches the ball on the sideline. And it was one where I think on replay, it looked like his foot wasn't quite in, because we'll see it from the end zone angle.
Okay.
Once he goes through.
Oh yeah, this is the for those listening, that's the sideline throw to Ricky Seals, and who it seemed, I thought it was a catch until I saw the replay, but
yeah,
had that 1 foot down, unfortunately.
I think it's because he bobbled it a second time. He didn't have full possession of it, and once he had bobbled it the second time, then he only had time to get his foot down. But yeah, the route combination, again, it's McLaurin going deep. You've got Seals Jones running that out, and you've got Adam Humphries running the crosser after chipping weirdly and into the flat. So they're kind of the sail thing. One more time for Terry McLaurin running the backside dig against Lattimore. Look at the separation. I mean, he's just open. He's just always open. It's ridiculous. But yeah, decent throw. They get away with it and run up a quick snap it to. Oh no, they did challenge it, and I can't believe the rest gave them the call. But it didn't look like a catch to me. Right, so we got 2 more plays, and then we got the Heinicke interception. So this one, quick pass to DeAndre Carter, I believe. Yeah, just a little hook. So we don't need to go too much into this. McLaurin runs a little hook. They've got someone.
How much time left in the first half?
Well, we've got 2 more drives, but we don't have to go through them. We can skip through to another play if you want, where you want to see the other interception or a touchdown.
Yeah, we could go to the second half. To the second half after we see the you break down the interception on this drive, and we go to the second half, because I do want to get like some surmising thoughts from you on Taylor Heinicke before this ends. So yeah, let's go ahead and see the interception, and then we can talk about or show a little bit of that second half.
Sure. So here's the interception. They come out in a pretty typical 3-by-1. Then they've got Curtis Samuel outside, and I think he just decides he wants to take a shot to Curtis Samuel. He's kind of running a little bit of a double move, but the corner never really bites.
And so who is checking Curtis Samuel? Because Curtis Samuel is 5'10" by itself. Who exactly is checking this guy? I mean, clearly his mind is made up, but like, if you're gonna, I said this on Twitter this morning, and as we're talking, Antonio Gibson is wide open in the flats, but as we said, his mind is made up. If you're gonna make that throw, obviously you got to throw it as hard as you could, but also to the outside shoulder of that receiver. And he failed miserably on this one, Mark. But you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so he's looking straight at him in the flat here, and he can see that he gets jammed, and still getting jammed after the double move, and he's trying to release. I don't know why he still decides to make this throw, but the ball placement of the throw, just the throw in general, was terrible. Like, as you said, if he's going to make that throw, either go back shoulder or put it to the back pylon of the end zone. Like, don't give the DB a chance, but instead he kind of hangs it up and gives the defender a chance to locate the ball, turn his head, locate the ball, and intercept it. And that's a pretty bad intercept. Well, it's a terrible interception, and especially in the red zone, it takes a field goal off the board.
And in the moment where they're tied 13-13, and
13-0.
We kind of know what happens towards the end of the half. Very messy. And I guess as we go to the second half, Mark, I do want to get your opinion on one thing, just your opinion on how they managed the clock under 3 minutes, I believe. And Ron Rivera had a couple of timeouts that he chose not to use, and it ended up milking down to the 2 minute warning. What was your opinion on the clock management towards that end of the first half?
Yeah, the clock management has been pretty poor under Rivera in general, I felt, and he says it's kind of he goes on a gut feel, but I think that's kind of I think that's the place where in general NFL head coaches could benefit from the kind of analytics of things and having a clock management coach, and they just don't. They kind of resist it because they want it to be kind of a gut feel thing, and you know that's the clock management thing is something that is very tangible, is very easy to measure. Like this is where you want to use this timeout, and this is when you don't. And,
at the end of the day, Ron, do you want points or not? Like I don't understand why you're letting all this time milk, and nobody could predict the punter punting inside the 1 yard, like inside the 5. Like, you can't predict that. It's all about giving yourself that opportunity. And if he did that after you called your timeout, so be it. But you didn't give that. You didn't even give your team a chance.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you want to get into this play. I do want to look at because this is something where he's got Terry McLaurin on a shallow cross. It's kind of a similar play that we saw earlier, where these guys are all coming across the field, and McLaurin comes shallow, and they're playing his own coverage, so he comes free, and we'll see it here as it runs across. Now he waits for him to clear out of this guy, and he's feeling a bit of pressure. But it's just the placement of this throw. And obviously you're seeing here.
Oh, Lord. I didn't even see
ball.
him. I'm sitting here looking at Terry. Okay.
But yeah, I think
he's bailing. Who was that? That corner is bailing too. Whoever.
Yeah.
I can't even see who that is, but whoever's behind.
I think that's Adam Humphries.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's made his mind up. He's going to McLaurin here. And because that corner is bailing, as you say, there is a path for McLaurin to run. But the placement of the throw, and we'll see it from the end zone angle, it's high and behind. And as we've said a couple times now, he's been pretty consistently high and behind receivers. And it's prevented. It's either allowed corners to make a play on the ball, or as you see here, high and behind, it stops his momentum. And, you know, it stops him from being able to make the catch in stride and run on after the catch.
Can we go back to the eye in the sky right quick, not the end zone angle, because I wanted to see how much yards he actually had. I know he had a lot of yards. I just want to see how much was it. Like, was it a house call? Because on my side, it's skipping a little bit, so I don't even. All I see is the tackle, but I don't know how much room he had to run.
No, he didn't have like a huge amount of yards. Like I'll bring it back to the catch point. There, he's just caught the ball. The corner was bailing out, but is able. It does have vision on the backfield, and it can see the ball is thrown to McLaurin, so he's biting up, and this guy's chasing him. But if the ball had been out in front, then McLaurin potentially has the chance to avoid this guy a little bit better. And
with the help,
I think that safety
Gibson could have been able to find one person.
Yeah, Gibson could have turned up and maybe, but I think this corner probably makes the play regardless. But yeah, so Terry makes a miss anyway, but this guy is able to get over, and you know, he kind of is forced out of bounds.
He didn't even have that much room. That was okay. Yeah, he didn't even have that much room to run on the sideline. He had to tightrope that thing, so it would have been tough regardless. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if you want to continue with this drive. This was the one where they basically ran the ball pretty much the entire drive and kicked a field goal. I don't know if you want to just head to the interception.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not sure.
I think what kind of helps Terry and not Terry, Taylor in these instances was obviously the interception drive, but then also him bouncing back. I think those last two drives will probably help out, just going through those, and then we can get your opinion, just your general opinion on the guy Taylor Heinicke itself. But yeah, those two drives were kind of something within itself, just the Jekyll and Hyde, I guess. I think that's the proper term of the type of quarterback that he is. Like he'll have those mistakes, but then at the same time, he finds a way to keep your team in it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. So this was the second interception, and it's 3rd and 10. They're backed up pretty deep in their own end zone or red zone. And what we have is, again, it's kind of not too dissimilar to what we've seen a lot already. We have McLaurin taking the top off on this side. DeAndre Carter runs an over route, and he tries to find DeAndre Carter over here, but we'll see as the play progresses why that is a terrible idea.
And as
So
we're
the Saints
watching,
bail off.
oh my bad, I was just gonna say to everybody in the chat, what's your grades or on Taylor Heinicke so far? We have 2 more drives that we're going to go through, but your grades on Taylor Heinicke so far, but also, do you have any questions, anything that you want to know from Mark himself? Let us know through the chat. But yeah, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to get that out the way.
You're good. You're good. So yeah, we've got Carter running this deep over route in behind where the space that McLaurin creates, but this safety, I think it was a safety stepped up. It might have been a linebacker dropping back, but I think it was a safety stepping up. He spots Carter coming, and he watches Heinicke the whole way, and he basically matches Carter's route, and he sinks back underneath it. And Heinicke will wind it back a little bit. If you watch Heinicke, he kind of double clutches it, and he has plenty of time in the pocket. He scrambles, and then he double clutches and kind of scrambles a little bit more. And this is just before he makes the throw. That guy's still there. He's still right underneath it. And unless Heinicke puts a ton on the ball and puts it over the top here, where this corner can potentially break off and take it, then this corner is always going to be able to contest any throw to Carter. Yeah. Now Heinicke throws it up, and the corner sinks back, and Carter has no chance. And as we see here, this corner was able to peel off as well.
He's an outfielder at that point. He's just fielding the catch. Like it was too easy for him.
It was a pretty terrible decision, and especially backed up. Like obviously you don't want to turn the ball over, but you're at any time. But when you're this close to your own end zone, you're giving them great field position, and obviously the Saints went and scored a touchdown a few plays later. So then we can get into the final 2 drives, or at least certainly the next drive is a touchdown drive. Right, where are we? So we've got 1st and 10. They motion McKissick out to empty. Yeah, they've got a little middle triangle here with a concept up there, which is where he was looking, and then he tries to check it down to McKissick, but it wasn't really there.
And when you say middle triangle, you're talking about Ricky, JD, and DeAndre.
Yeah, so you've got one of the routes coming from this side. I think it's DeAndre Carter running a little shallow cross. You've got McKissick kind of running a shallow cross but spotting up. And then you've got I think that's Ricky Seals-Jones hitting spotting up over the middle here with a hook at kind of a little bit of a deeper level. So I'll pause it and show you in a minute. So we've got right here, you can see kind of a little middle triangle. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and that's a pretty staple thing in a West Coast offense.
Okay, so Terry, JD.
Yeah, so it was it was Terry McLaurin running that shallow cross. Sorry, not DeAndre Carter. But it doesn't turn up well. Right, so next one is probably one of Heinicke's better throws of the day, I think, the next play. But once we get through this end zone angle, steps up, tries to dump it off with a little floater and doesn't get there. So this was
56 got there a little early though, Mark. He definitely did.
Oh yeah, they did get the defensive pass interference. Yeah. So this one,
okay, cool.
Yeah, they did get the call. So it was 1st and 10. We get a similar thing to what was on the interception, but instead of Carter running the over, we've got Adam Humphries running that over. McLaurin's clearing out that side. We got that safety kind of buzzing, but he jumps down for Carter, and that clears out this space, huge for Humphries. And he does a pretty nice job. We've got the linebacker sinking back underneath it. There's Tamario Davis right there, and he does a pretty nice job sinking back underneath it. But Heinicke, with the guy in his face, we'll see the end zone angle in a minute. He manages to just about layer it over that guy and get Humphries the ball. He probably, if you were going to miss, wanted to miss long than short, but as you'll see here, he had a guy in his face.
That was one of my favorite. I agree with you though, Mark. That was one of my favorite throws. It was a big time throw in the moment too, obviously, given the circumstances, but just being able to hit him and allow Adam to run. I think he would have had like 15 more yards after catch.
Yeah. If he'd been able to put it deeper, but I think he's got this guy in his face, so he can't really step over into the throw. And I think his arm might get hit as he kind of follows through. He just gets bumped as he follows through, so he could have potentially picked up a few more
Oh
yards.
no, that's
but,
not the one I'm thinking of. That I must have been on the last drive, not this one.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, still overall pretty decent play.
Yep.
This was a McKissick run. We don't need to worry about this. This is a short pass that he kind of misses a little bit high, but McKissick probably can do better. Just a little pivot, nothing really we need to worry about.
Let me ask your opinion on this one right quick too. J.D. McKissick, man. 3 total touches, 4 targets. And because you just showed that one, I initially thought, like off the top of my head, that there was some bad passes to J.D. McKissick. That kind of hindered him from making an impact in this game. But your opinion on how they tried to utilize him? I know he had a small sample size. Like it was only, again, 4 targets and then 1 carry. How do you think, could they have used him more, like intentionally? But also the opportunities that he did get. Do you have an opinion on that, or is it's just too little amount of attempts?
Yeah, you'd obviously like to see McKissick get the ball a little bit more. I think part of it plays into that they're trying to get Gibson on the field a little bit more. And they could call McKissick a slot receiver, but when they have Humphreys and Dax Milne now and DeAndre Carter has stepped up and made some nice catches, they have quite a few slot guys.
Yep.
And so I think it comes down to they're trying to get Gibson more involved. Could they get him involved more? Sure. And certainly McKissick is definitely one of their better weapons when he gets the ball in his hands. And he's a very good pass protector. But it happens sometimes. There are games like they can't always get everyone the ideal amount of targets, and in this case, McKissick was the odd man out. Right, so we have got, this was a sack where he's kind of focused on this little out. I think you got Carter running deep and Humphreys running out. Little, but he gets pressure as the throw comes open and tries to scramble. And end up getting sacked for a 2-yard loss. Nothing really we need to focus on too much there. We'll just see the pressure and see whether he could have done anything differently. No, he kind of saw a lane, and then the guy peeled off well. Demario Davis peeled off well and picked him up.
Oh yeah, it was right there too. It skipped on my side, but if you all was able to see it for that split second, between the tackle and guard on the right side was that small lane. So I can see why he tried to take off and got caught.
So this was the 4th and 14 play, where Rivera made her decision to go for it. And it's actually quite a nice little concept. Let me wind it back, sorry. Where you've got McLaurin and Carter both aligned pretty tight splits in the slot. McLaurin, they know McLaurin's going to get extra attention. He runs a deep hook. He spots up around the 30 or the 35, somewhere in there. Carter runs a very similar route, but he keeps running over the top of him. And I think you'll see possibly this safety here spot McLaurin and attach to McLaurin, and that will leave Carter wide open going over the top of him.
Okay.
It was the right. Okay. Yeah, it was Malcolm Jenkins that attached. But you see.
And the fact, okay.
Go on.
No, I was gonna say, Seals Jones was open at the 6, but then I missed it. He was actually a little bit shorter than where the 6 were. So I was gonna say I don't know how he was that butt naked, but then at the same time, DeAndre Carter was wide open too, so it worked out.
Yeah, the concept was definitely trying to hit this. It's this safety here. It's Malcolm Jenkins that attaches to McLaurin's route, understandably. And then you can see him kind of stepping up here, and Carter runs into this vacant space behind it. It's quite a nice little concept. And then Carter's making that catch with the safety over the top, and they pick up the first down on 4th and 14.
Big time throw, and that's a clutch catch.
Yeah, very good throw, very good read, and big play that keeps them in the game. So then we got what we got here.
I like how they're using DeAndre though. How they're starting to incorporate him. It just reminds me, and I'm not the first person to say this, but it just reminds me of how they utilize Steven Sims at the line of scrimmage, but just also they're getting him a little bit more involved in the passing game too, which is good. That's good for him, given how long he's been in the career.
Yeah.
Given how long he's been in the NFL, Scott Turner and the coaches are starting to trust him a little bit more as a receiver too.
Yeah, and I think that skill set, he's a little bit more shifty, a little bit more explosive than Adam Humphries, and it's something that kind of gives them a little bit of the skill set that Curtis Samuel would have given them. Obviously, to not the same extent, but
yeah.
Right. So after that big pickup, it's 1st and 10. We've got Dax Milne. I think he runs a post here, and I think he wins his route pretty considerably. But Heinicke feels pressure and scrambles rather than tries to throw it to him. Yeah, so he's beaten his defender off the line, and he does a really nice job of kind of bending this route back outside to give himself space to stick it back inside. I think Heinicke sees this guy coming free, this blitzer coming free, and then he peels out to the flat, and he's checking the deep safety, waiting for this route. Now, why when he starts scrambling here?
Oh my God.
He has kind of a clear pocket, but he's got Wes Schweitzer getting beat inside a little bit, but he could quite easily slide that way and try to fit that ball in there.
Mark, he has Humphries, and then he has this man Antonio Gibson. Nobody checking him in the flats. I think he took off on this one, but just from a passing concept, those two options, that's pretty good. Both of those. Well, Adam Humphrey wins big, but then the Saints just mess up, leaving Gibson go free.
Yeah, so obviously first number one, you're looking at this one. Possibly that safety could possibly come across and interrupt it. Obviously, as you said, Gibson has this guy peeling off late, and if he dinks that over there, Gibson's running in for a touchdown. He's also got this guy, I think it's Carter. Yeah,
he did.
The receiver, defender falls over, and Carter is also wide open. I don't know why he doesn't throw the ball. I think from the end zone angle, we see that he points to Carter to block the deep safety, and maybe if Carter blocks that deep safety, then Heinicke is able to run in for a touchdown. But also, just as equally, he could have thrown the ball to Carter and let Carter do his thing. Like right here, he's pointing to Carter to go block that safety. But if he just throws the ball to him, if he puts it way out here, there's every chance Carter makes that catch and turns upfield for a touchdown.
Because the person that's checking Humphries had his back towards Carter, so all he had to do is make that one person miss.
Yeah, so he picks up 16 yards in the scramble, so it's not the end of the world, but there was more than one touchdown opportunity there that he missed out by scrambling. I think this was a little bootleg where he didn't like any option. Yeah, he didn't like any option, so he scrambled, picked up a couple yards, and then we have the. What did we have? Let me check this thing here. Oh yeah, then we had the play where he throws to McLaurin in the back of the end zone, and it's a pass interference, and then Gibson runs in for a touchdown. I don't know if you want to have a look at the 2-point conversion.
We're good, Mark. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trapper Dive University with the good man Mark Bullock. We went to school today, learned a few things saw a few things that we usually just don't see, obviously from the actual the broadcast, man. So this is the first official version. It's the first official version of this thing. And Mark, just on your end, you did a great job as always, man. You do a good job posting your things on Twitter. And obviously, again, one more thing, if you guys like if you like his content, and you're not subscribed, which I am planning to do today, I left my notes. markbullock.substack.com. Did I get that? Did I get the link right? Because I dropped my notes.
Yeah, you nailed it. No, okay. You're good. You nailed it.
markbullock.substack.com. Mark, before we get up out of here, just your overall grade on Taylor Heinicke and the Saints game, but also just your general outlook on the type of quarterback he is, man. There was a lot of people hoping that he could be the savior. And I guess in my opinion, my short opinion, because I did ask you, my short opinion is that while he has some really good qualities and traits that any quarterback would love to have, I think the bottom line is going to be hard to really overcome the certain flaws that he has. And I'm not necessarily too sure that throwing late, but also having that the arm strength. I'm not saying he does it all the time. I'm not saying that, but throwing late, but also the lack of arm strength sometimes can get him in trouble in certain situations, and it's just going to be hard to overcome in terms of being a consistent quarterback one in the NFL. To this point, he proved us wrong, but or that he can at least do it for a few games. But just your opinion on how this thing is.
Yeah, he for me, I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the league. Personally, I think we see some nice things, as you said, that the kind of playmaking traits that he has, where he can scramble around, he can make plays, like those things are all nice. I love the aggressive mentality that he has, but he doesn't have the arm strength necessarily to back it up. And I'm not one to harp on about arm strength, even though I've probably done that quite a few times today. Arm strength is not the most important trait by any stretch of the imagination with a quarterback. Being accurate and being able to anticipate throws can very much make up for a lack of arm strength for a lot of quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
But from Heinicke, what we've seen is that he anticipates throws okay, but his accuracy so far this season has, in general, been the ball placement has been high and behind receivers, and he's been a little bit late with throws, as you've said. So the anticipation's been okay at times, but he's a little bit late sometimes as well. And when you're a little bit late and you don't have the arm, that's when the arm strength becomes an issue, and that's when the ball can be put up for grabs. As I said, I like the mentality to attack and take shots, but I think that leads to some risks, and those risks will catch up with him in certain games. We saw in the Bills game where he threw a couple interceptions and could have had a couple more. We saw in this game where he threw a couple interceptions. So I think more often against certain teams that the playmaking is going to help and work, and going off script and making things happen will result in more explosive plays than negative ones. But there will be games where the negative plays stack up and will outweigh the positives that gain from that. And I think more often than not in big games against good teams, we'll probably see the negative side of it outweigh the positive.
Absolutely. So House did have one question. He asked, after 5 weeks, do you think Fitz deserves the spot back once he's healthy, or is this a situation where well, I'll just ask that because he's asking if Taylor earned it, but you kind of gave your opinion on Taylor. So is this a spot where you think Fitz, if he's healthy and ready to go, does he come back and take over?
I think it depends on results over the next few games. Like it's a very, very tough stretch, and if they can somehow pull something off against the Chiefs, or if they've got momentum going once Fitz comes back, like you don't change a quarterback when you have momentum if you're winning games and stuff. I think what will likely happen is they'll lose the next couple games in this tough stretch, and that'll be kind of a nice point for them to say, okay, well, Fitzpatrick's back healthy. He's our starter. He was going into the season. We'll switch back to him and be fine. But I think it's kind of, to an extent, it's results based, and it depends on how well he's playing. I would imagine he probably won't play well enough to make the explosive plays outweigh the potential interceptions and negative plays, and win some games. But if he can pull off a few wins, then if he does that, then I wouldn't be benching him. But I anticipate it going south with these next few games, being against the Chiefs and I think the Packers and the Broncos,
and then Bucks.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I think those could be a few bad weeks, and at that
man.
point, I think you make the switch.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, Mark, before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you. Obviously, markbullock.substack.com, but let the people know your socials and if anything else that you got going on. Absolutely, House, no problem. But let the people know what you got going on, boss.
Yeah, so it's as you said, markbullock.substack.com is where I'm writing articles and breaking down film at the moment. And then my Twitter is Mark Bullock NFL on Twitter, and that's where I'm posting all stuff and breakdowns and stuff on there too.
Absolutely. Again, we appreciate Mark for joining us. I appreciate you for joining me, Big Dog, in this film session, man. It's much appreciated, and hopefully everybody who's listening and everybody who's watching has some key takeaways from how Taylor's playing. So yeah, with that being said, we are out of here. I will play this Twitch back on a rerun later this evening, and then you can also find this breakdown again on YouTube for those who are listening through the podcast right now. So with that being said, we're out of here. Y'all be safe, enjoy y'all day, and I will catch you all live again tomorrow afternoon for the All 32 side. All right, y'all be safe. Peace.
Whole hard in the trenches, ask a nigga what he benching, triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention.